Police are gathering this morning for the Toronto March to end fossil fuels at Queen's Park. That's where we find CP24's Andrew Brennan, who's there live with more on this. Andrew, I know you're just arriving at the scene there at Queen's Park. What are you seeing around you already?
Well, I see signs including one saying, "Make the earth cool again." A good play on words there and very indicative as to why we're here. I know back in the 60s, climate activists would talk about think locally or act globally, and now it's almost the reverse because you have to be acting locally in order to create global change. And to help us with understanding why people are here and also what the future generations are thinking about when it comes to their climate emergency and reality. This is I'm just being moved a little bit. This is 16-year-old Zoe. Zoe, I guess first thing, you've actually attempted to sue the government over their policy, the Ford government. Why is it important to be outside of Queen's Park today?
Yeah, so this rally is calling for an end of fossil fuels. It's part of a global action happening this weekend. And really what we're doing is saying that as we know, the climate crisis is directly caused by the burning of fossil fuels, oil, coal, natural gas. And we only have a limited amount of time to actually take serious action on this crisis. And yet our government continues to expand fossil fuel production at such a late stage, continues to subsidize the fossil fuel industry, which is making record profits as we see wildfires burn across the country. So it's incredibly important to be out here today, and I think it's going to be a really big rally.
As a 16-year-old, a lot of times when we talk about the future, the youth are the future. What do you think your future is going to be if we don't change our ways, as it were?
Yeah. So I mean, we just heard about a report about the climate change in Ontario, which is saying there's going to be record heat, a massive increase in the number of days that are over 30 degrees, and we're seeing the effects all around the world right now. Flooding in Libya that has over 10,000 people missing. It really actually depends on what's going to happen, whether a government is going to take serious action now. It can have a big drastic effect on what the future is going to look like for young Ontarians.
Well, speaking of the government and that report was buried for quite a while and was released, almost like a late Friday afternoon press release. What that report said is 60 days of over 30-degree weather for Ontario. But what does it say about the fact that it was buried in your mind about this government? Do you think this government puts climate first, or even in the top anything?
Absolutely not. I think it shows that the government knows that its actions are going to be worsening the climate crisis. So recently the government decided to, as our nuclear plants are going down, they decided to expand fossil fuels in Ontario, so expanding the natural gas plants, instead of building a renewable electricity grid, which could totally happen. We could totally be getting renewable energy from Quebec, which is what New York State does. But instead, we decided to lock us in to burning fossil fuels in the middle of a climate emergency. So I think it really shows that they know their actions are worsening this crisis, but they don't want Ontarians to know about it.
Well, then what would you say to Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, if he was here right now?
I would say, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think that Doug Ford would listen. I would rather speak to the people of Ontario and tell them that their Premier has failed them in securing them a safe future, really what we need to be doing is working together to call for a fair transition for renewable energy that supports workers and communities impacted, that centers Indigenous sovereignty. And I think it's really in the power of the people that we can make actual change.
Zoe Kearney-Madser joining us live here on CP24. We will send it back to you inside, Beatrice, this demonstration, this protest, truly, to end the use of fossil fuels beginning momentarily here at Queen's Park.
Holy smokes, 16 years old. I am blown away by Zoe and her eloquence. Andrew Brennan, thanks for bringing her point of view to CP24.